Hello everyone, it's Aram here. This video is part of the Altenew Educators video hub, and our theme is focal point. We'll be sharing different ways to create a strong visual focus in our designs, so make sure to check out all the stops along the hub. Today I'm creating this soft and colorful floral card using a dimensional floral arrangement as my focal point and subtle watercolor background to complement it. So let's get started. I'll be using the Easy Arrangement Garden Mix layering die set for today's project. I've already die cut all the flowers and leaves except for these two pieces, which are the bases provided for arranging all of the die cut elements. I'm actually not going to use those today because I want to create my own floral arrangement. However, you can absolutely die cut and use these pieces if you prefer. They're included in the set to make arranging all of the flowers and leaves much easier. I'm going to start by adding color to all of my die cut pieces. For the flowers, I'll be working with these beautiful purple inks. I'll start with the lightest purple, Thistle Floret Fresh Dye ink, and apply the ink mainly toward the center of the daisy-like flower, keeping it contained to the center and diffusing it very slightly so that it doesn't look like a blob. For the larger flower, with the keyhole-shaped center, I'm going to use Brambleberry Fresh Dye ink, which is the darkest of the purple inks. Apply this ink to all the layers of the keyhole flower. I'll use Brambleberry Fresh Dye ink again on the flower layers with the snowman keyhole. As this is a half-opened bud, I will concentrate the inking on the base and keep the tip or edges of the layers relatively lighter. And for the flower with the arrow keyhole, I'll switch to Alpine Heather Fresh Dye ink. I'm going to keep the tips of these petals lighter because I want to bring in another color. I'm going to use Coral Dust Fresh Dye ink on the tips. I'll apply this very lightly and blend it into the purple. This changes the tone of the flower and gives us a slightly different variation from the other blooms. I'll go back in with Alpine Heather and blend these two colors together really well. For the leaves, I thought it would be interesting to use the new gray inks instead of traditional greens. I'll start with Dove Gray Fresh Dye ink and blend it to cover the entire surface area of the leaf die cut. I'll also add a little bit of Gravel Fresh Dye ink to create some depth and a hint of shadow. Gravel is quite dark, so I'm using a very light pressure here. Now that the initial inking is finished, I think I want to bring a little bit of peach into a few more of these daisy-like flowers. I don't need to add it to all of the petals. Just touching a few with the additional color will help tie everything together. Now let's put all of these flowers together. The layering guide shows you exactly how the different pieces fit together. So you can refer to that as you assemble each flower while also following the keyhole system. I will follow the layering guide for the darker purple flowers, but I will adhere the daisy-like flowers following the keyholes. If you'd like, you can also use your petal shaper tool at this stage to give the flowers a little more dimension before assembling them. All of the flowers are assembled and they already look really pretty. At this point, you can add even more dimension with a detailed blending brush. I'm using the smallest brush to go back into some of the flowers and add a little more ink around selected edges and recessed areas. You really don't need very much. These flowers already have plenty of dimension, so this is completely optional. I'm adding just a touch of extra shading here and there to emphasize some of those layers. Now I'm going to add a little peach as well as a bit of purple again. I'm not adding it to every leaf, just a few of them. These little touches of color will help balance the leaves with the flowers once everything is arranged together. For the background, I'm going to create a subtle watercolor effect. using the same inks that I used for the die cuts. I'll be using Coral Dust and Alpine Heather fresh dye inks. I'll start by applying water to the panel and then bring in a little coral dust. Fresh dye inks work beautifully as watercolors, and you can easily use the colors from the project to create a coordinating background. I accidentally added a little more color here than I intended on the right-hand side, but that's okay. I'll add some more around it and make that area part of the design rather than trying to remove it. Now I'll bring in Alpine Heather and add some purple to the background as well. I'm happy with the soft watercolor effect. I have one area that's a little stronger than I intended, so I'll balance it by adding a touch more purple nearby or on the opposite side. And once the floral arrangement is in place, everything should come together nicely. I'll let this panel dry before moving on. You can certainly use a heat tool if you want to speed up the process, but I'm going to let mine air dry. Once the panel is dry, I'm going to add a few splatters using carbon black wash. For the sentiment, I'll be using the One Go Solid Circular Sentiments. I'll ink the press plate with Obsidian Pigment ink and run it through my Spellbinder's platinum machine. Then I'll use the coordinating die to cut out all the sentiments. One of my favorite things about the set is that the coordinating die cuts right around the sentiments without leaving a white outline. So you end up with these beautiful solid black sentiments. Now I can start working on the floral arrangement. I have already added instant dimension foam tape behind the flowers, and I'm going to play around with the placement until I find an arrangement I like. Since the theme is focal point, I want to keep the flowers fairly compact. I think this placement works really well, so now I'll adhere everything in place. Finally, I'll adhere the finished panel onto the card base using instant dimension foam tape, and that completes the card. I hope you enjoyed the card and the colors I used today. Be sure to check the description below for the next stop in the hub, and don't forget to leave a comment for a chance to win prizes. Our educators work really hard to bring beautiful inspiration to your screens, so please take a moment to leave some love along the way. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Wait, we have more where that came from. If you're after fabulous card making tutorials, you are definitely in the right spot. Our amazing design team create and upload fabulous video tutorials right to this YouTube channel. If you don't want to miss another amazing crafting tutorial, don't forget to subscribe and click that fun red button that you can see. Let's become paper crafting experts together.